Well, Hell in a Cell has become an interesting pay per view. I've been hearing about many times over from various people. They're saying that they didn't like it. There were certain things that were good. There were things that should have happened. They would have imagined it did, but never did. But all of that will be discussed on Deleted WrestleZone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Hey everyone, welcome to Deleted WrestleZone, all things pro wrestling from AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, the National Wrestling Alliance, many promotions, matches, wrestlers, and championships. I am your host, J Rod here. Before I start reviewing Hell in a Cell, as you guys know, today is October 26th, which is a day after Hell in a Cell. If you guys must know, I don't watch Raw that very much often because it's not the same Raw that I remembered growing up at the Attitude Era. But I am willing to reveal certain things that just came about not too recently. As you all know, recently since the Speaking Out movement, a most interesting wrestler was spoke out and apparently was mentioned. I'm talking about the villain Marty Scurll. It's now been revealed that Marty Scurll is no longer on the ROH profile or website or whatever it is, but there's still no confirmation about whether if he is fired from ROH, because we do know he's no longer has the role as the lead booker with ROH. That was the last thing. He hasn't wrestled since February. Now, as you all know, he was accused saying since he was young that he had a sexual encounter with a girl at the age of 16 or something like that. But apparently it didn't he recalled what happened. But we do know there was supposed to be an investigation to this by ROH, but we haven't heard anything whether they followed up or whatever. It's been since June, so we're in October at the moment, and it's still unclear. So I will follow up more, see if there's anything. Wrestling Incorporated have reached out to Ring of Honor to find out more information about this with Marty Scurll, but we'll find out soon. Right now, let's jump into Hell in a Cell. Hey everybody, so now we're gonna talk about Hell in a Cell. Like, I'll give you guys my thoughts and opinions before I move on to each of the matches. What I thought about this pay per view, there was not a lot. There was no of the tag team championships from both brands involved. The Raw Women's Championship was not put on the line. Neither was the Intercontinental Championship or anything else. The only championships that were I did notice that were put on the line was the Universal, WWE, um, the United States, and the Raw's Women's Championship. So basically, not a lot of championships were posted, but there were several other matches we did witness. I'll get to that too. So let's start with the first match. It was the first match involving a Hell in a Cell cage with Jey Uso and Roman Reigns, which is the I Quit match. This is one of those brutal matches I ever seen. Which, I mean, the story is kind of interesting, but to me, I felt like it was way too much. Where Roman Reigns has been trying to persuade Jey Uso just to acknowledge him as the tribal chief, which is something that he's been trying to do since Jey refused to accept it. And of course, Jimmy came out to help him, but all of a sudden, Roman used him to force him to break his spirit to acknowledge, yes, he's the tribal chief. You see, Alpha and Sika acknowledge him as the tribal chief, that he is the head of the table. So basically, it became like a reign of tyranny. You know, something that I don't that we've seen in every culture. But there is a speculation they believe that maybe The Rock will come by and put him in his place, which is going to be interesting. As you know, The Rock is also part of the family. That is something we would definitely see. Now, I don't know how you guys would feel about that, but I would see it too. So this match, I have to say, they went too far on this a little bit with the story, you know, but it was so brutal. That's my opinion right there, you know. Now the next match, it was Elias versus Jeff Hardy. As you know, Elias made an attack against Jeff Hardy not too long ago, uh, claiming that he was responsible from running over. But if you recall, it was they were saying there were witnesses recall it was a man in a with a bald head and beard or so, red beard. So it was Sheamus, but apparently Elias believed it was Jeff Hardy who did this, that ran him over. So Jeff Hardy made it perfectly clear he had nothing to do with what happened to Elias. It wasn't him. So it became a physical grudge match. So basically, that's what has been going on. Elias has already accused him, saying that he is the culprit. But however, Jeff is not falling for that whatsoever. But the match ended with Jeff Hardy whacking Elias with his guitar. I don't think Jeff Hardy cares at the moment because it proved Elias will always picture him as the man who ran him over with his car. But Jeff is trying so hard to, you know, tell him, I'm not responsible for what happened to you. It wasn't me. So the I don't the way I would picture in the aftermath, Elias will be he'll be not satisfied with the win. He would rather beat him in a way. I feel like the more Elias would say that he won this match, the more that Jeff Hardy's gonna try to attack him and prove his point that he wasn't the one. But if the real culprit shows up, then Jeff Hardy has no other choice but to whack him for all the things that he thought wrong about him. So that's how I see it, but we yet to see that when it happened. So that's one of my expert opinions on that. Now we got the Money in the Bank briefcase, which is Otis versus Miz. Miz believes that he earned the rightful thing with the title with the briefcase. So Otis was the one who won it at this past Money in the Bank, and he tried everything to ensure Otis gets his is alone and vulnerable. He somehow convinced the USA Network to take Mandy. Tucker got drafted to Raw, and all of a sudden, this whole thing with saying that he was not unworthy, that he's making up these stories, claiming that he earned the right of that Otis is not being focused as the person who should cash in the championship. But however, we have seen over the years, if you have the briefcase, you can cash it at any given time. We have seen guys that cash it right away, no matter what. We have seen others that cash it at WrestleMania. You know, whatever, it's vulnerable. And the way this match ended was surprisingly Tucker betrayed Otis and allowing Miz to obtain the title. But this isn't the first time he obtained it before. He actually obtained it and beat Randy Orton all of a sudden, winning the WWE Championship. So you may never know what's going to happen. But I think there's many fans that feel like Otis possibly was the wrong choice to hold the briefcase. That sort of thing. Like, how do you put Otis in a good spot or a good story as the holder of the briefcase with the WWE contract? So that kind of conflicts with a lot of fans with their opinions on that. And frankly, I could agree with that. And how does it fit? But of course, there's that thing with Tucker and Otis being on separate shows. It could mean like maybe this is what people expected, that Otis and Tucker will finally end their partnership. But what does it mean for Mandy, since now she is on Raw? So that's one of the things that kind of now we have to see. But I feel maybe that's one of the cases, the reason Miz won the championship, maybe because people think that Otis was the wrong choice to win the briefcase. But it is what it is. Now let's jump into the SmackDown Women's Championship match between Sasha Bailey and Sasha Banks and Bailey, I have to say this is one of the best matches I've ever seen. I mean, I love this match completely. And I was told by my brother yesterday when it came out, he's saying that this should have been the main event. Now, I don't know how you guys would feel about it. I already talked to a friend of mine. He said he doesn't see it. But me, I could picture it, as the main event. I don't know how you guys would feel. But if you feel like it should have been, leave a comment and just tell me. I would gladly listen to what you guys have to say. Because I have to say it was a gruesome match. I mean, with Sasha winning the women's, the SmackDown Women's Championship was a great moment. But however, it did set something that it's been pointed out today by another friend who I met years ago. He said something on his Facebook post that I have to agree. She is now a Grand Slam champion. She already held the NXT Women's Championship, the Raw's Women's Championship, and of course the Women's Tag Team Championship. But the one title she hasn't held, and now she has it, is the SmackDown Women's Championship. So that makes her a Grand Slam champion. And I didn't think of that. And I realized I should have paid attention to that, but I didn't. But now she's a Grand Slam champion. So I think I need to picture who else could have that. I do know Charlotte never hold the women's tag team champion. That's one that I do know. And I don't think Becky Lynch either, but we'll just wait and see. I'll do a research on that. Who is a Grand Slam champion for those who held all three of these titles and the tag team titles for the women's division? So that's something I would pay attention. Now the next match, I feel this one, it was pretty boring for me. That's my opinion. I don't know how you guys feel. It's Bobby Lashley putting his United States Championship on the line against Slapjack of Retribution. I feel they could have done better with Bobby Lashley facing someone else, like either Tabar or someone, or Mustafa. I don't know. I feel they could have done better, but they didn't. They kind of buried Slapjack here on this one. I feel they could do better. They need to write better story for Retribution if they intend to invest in them, but no. So Bobby Lashley won on this one. So sorry guys, I wasn't too sold on this. Now let's come to the next match, which is the main event. It's the WWE Championship in the Hell in a Cell cage match. It's Drew McIntyre versus Randy Orton. This is another brutal match. I mean, we have seen many Hell in a Cells. I think this is the third match that had the Hell in a Cell cage match on this one. I wasn't sure much about it. Like, my brother kind of speculated something in the end, but I have to say it was one of the brutal matches. But however, the ending, it should have ended differently for this one, because there was one thing that I have to agree with my brother, that he felt that it should have happened. As you know, Randy Orton won the WWE Championship. But however, there was that one thing that I kind of expected that didn't happen. Was Miz cashing in his title, his briefcase, right away to obtain the WWE Championship. That's something I expected. I mean, it would have been easier and simpler. Reason why. If you're in the Hell in a Cell match, your body is so screwed up, you can't fight completely 100%, while a guy like Miz, he rested up waiting for the perfect opportunity. That is one of those things that I kind of wish it could have happened, but it never did. I just don't know why WWE didn't do that. I feel like the show wasn't exactly how I expected. But the only thing I can say I'm happy about is the women's match. But the whole show, it wasn't good. I felt like there's certain things like they could have done better on this one, but it didn't. I just, I don't know how you guys would feel about it. Trust me, I don't know. I can't speak for you guys. Only you guys can speak for me what you thought. Now, I say the only thing that was good was the women's match. Did I agree of Otis dropping the briefcase to Miz? Yes, because I feel that they could do something better. There is nothing that could fit in Otis into any storyline to cash in that title. The briefcase. So that's one of the things that kind of gets me going. But yeah, that's how I see it. So I think that's it for now for you guys. As you know, tonight it's Raw. I'm not gonna be watching it because I don't watch it. But if I did, I'll just speak out on the cool parts that happened. So I must bid all of you adieu. So goodbye, mwah, and have a nice day. Bang.